Here, we do what others don't.
Dream what others won't, driven to leap forward, determined to always give back.
Here, we work where giants have played, where the connection of work and ethic is made.
A diverse community possessed with a passion
To know and grow and go and show the world we are prepared to change it. Here, we ask what must be done, for in doing we learn and earn success.
and you can get there from here.
DePaul University. Here, we do.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the EGFC as we get ready for our second match of the day. My name is Tony. Joining me at the desk is Mr. UBL. Welcome back.
Hello, everybody. We're here and we're ready to get into it for the remaining 3 matches that we have for this March 1st week of the EGF. Starting off, of course, will be, or I guess second off, as you had a pretty fiery set just recently where it was Iona and Siena, with Siena taking it in pretty firm fashion. But now it'll be DePaul and the University of Colorado squaring off, looking to kind of get a run started as we get into the final 3 weeks.
Yeah, this is a very pivotal point for both of these teams, and these two teams are starting to be a lot of history between these two, a lot of very close matchups. Colorado won the very first bout between these two schools in the regular season, getting the upset over DePaul, who at the time was, I believe, undefeated during the season. And then the 2 postseason matches that they played against each other in the independent conference finals, DePaul got the victory, and in the national semifinals, DePaul won against Colorado once again. So this is kind of a rematch of those types of games, and the history between these two schools continues to build. DePaul, once again, undefeated so far this season at 12-0. They currently hold the #1 seed overall in the EGF, and Colorado is right in the thick of things in terms of that playoff race at an even 6-6. So it should be a very fun one between these two overall. We've seen a lot of depth of the roster between these two schools. Curious to see who these teams end up setting into the first couple matches. Names have been locked in for the first set. Looks like Icaro has been locked in for the side of DePaul. And to counter him, Carlish, who we've only seen once, I think, so far this season for Colorado, played Terry and unfortunately lost their set. But Icaro, this Bayonetta, it is very, very scary. 7-2 on the season, was perfect last season in the regular season at 10-0. And Icaro, that Bayonetta, I mean, another one of those combo-esque characters, but not what we typically see a lot of here in the EGF.
Yeah, Bayonetta is a character that has unfortunately fallen off quite a bit. It tends to happen when you go from being the best character in the game to not that. But either way, she is still a phenomenal character with one of the few instances in Smash Ultimate of a prolonged combo state. And we'll get to see that in action, as I really like how Carlish is being a lot more careful at the start of this game, trying to go at the matchup very focused on blocking and punishing out of block, and looking to chase around Bayonetta into the sky, so she'll take you there nonetheless.
Yeah, you see that combo there, Carlish up to nearly 70, and Icaro doing a good job of keeping Terry up high. Oh my, sniped him with the forward smash. Where was Carlish to go? Icaro takes the first stop.
Alright, calming down with just these extensions from Bayonetta are just so potent, and the bats within getting burst up. This could result in a stock if that combo finished, and an up smash as well, looking for something different than Carlish is showing. But when you're able to snowball this hard, it doesn't matter if you're able to close out the stocks. It'll happen eventually. All that matters is you're able to put on such a deficit that you end up making your opponent desperate. And slowly but steadily, Carlish is going to need to throw out more and more of these haymakers.
154 right now. Go is online for Karlish, so that's a lot of kill potential. And Bayonetta is relatively light. In fact, that side B at only 80-ish%. Wasn't even Buster Wolf connected. But Ikaro snipes him with the forward smash, reads the roll once again. He has a full stock lead here in game number 1.
Yeah, Bayonetta... okay, when you're able to flex on people with double heal slide, things are feeling a whole lot better. And the reversals as well into the down air are going to close out this stock this time. 1, 2, 3. Not quite doing it, but this edge guard could result in a stock if played correctly. If the combo keeps on going.
Ikaro. That was very, very dangerous, and Ikaro nearly, like you said, nearly able to take the stock just off one conversion. Karlish kind of caught swinging for the fences there once again. I like the idea to go for the bats within there, but did not find the mark, and now Karlish is at 128. Power guys are not going to connect. Well spaced by Ikaro. The jabs will get him off stage. The guns could do a lot of work here, but he will be able to avoid them. I'm actually shocked we didn't see a grab or a forward throw there, but Ikaro just so good at, stringing hits together. This jab, is that going to do it at 170? Yes, it will. Ikaro takes game 1 via 2 stock.
I feel like one of the most important buffs, as we saw all of the normal flexibilities that Bayonetta has to offer in to any player that is experienced enough with them. But one of the most important buffs that Bayonetta received in this game is the power of her rapid jab, and in the fact that its knockback growth is significantly greater than before. What that means is now, when amidst her corner pressure, of which she can put on so much of it, especially with some of these large forward smashes to catch landings, as well as crossing you up infinitely with things like the afterburner kick, she now has a innate 50-50, whether it comes with forward throw or rapid jab, both being prominent horizontal kill tools at high percents, but natively the counterplay to both are complete opposites. Oh, we're getting to see the interaction between Bayonetta's forward smash as a item property. The arms themselves aren't actually disjoints, so they can clang and clash with aerials and with other moves. It's an unfortunate priority that Bayonetta has to live with, but it comes at the benefit of the fact that those arms are huge. So, it's balanced out. But Karlish almost finding the forward air just in time to get a chance at surviving, but not quick enough. Literally maybe like a frame or two off.
Yeah, and I think really the key here is that Ikaro, something Ikaro does very well. Ikaro's spacing, as you saw in that game, was on point, but also just the ability to string hits together. I know Bayonetta is that combo character, but Ikaro just has the bread and butter down and is very good at kind of mixing up the combos. It's not always the true combo that lands, but also, they're able to, say, get an up air seemingly out of nowhere, and then you're in a very tricky spot. And Karlish was forced, especially through the early parts of this game, to be playing, from above, from a platform. Couldn't really find a way back down to stage numerous times, and Ikaro did just such a good job of making sure that Karlish stayed above them, which is really not where Terry wants to be at all.
Yeah, completely agree. The pop-up play style of Ikaro really showed off, and in addition to the burst movement that Bayonetta has access to at all times, really flummoxing Karlish and the slow airspeed of Terry. Seeing Bayonetta played to the depth that she can be is what makes the character so entertaining to watch. Because as you mentioned, those combos aren't just A to B and done. You're living, the combo circle is A, B, or C, and all three can lead to each other at different times. And you have to play it all by ear and by reaction, as well as by practice. But when the practice makes perfect, you get 98% out of a couple interactions. That being said, Terry has his own set of devastating strings on the turnarounds. The turnarounds from both of these two, but which time, that's within, does close out it does allow Ikaru to take that first stock.
And I feel like, too, for Karlish, the struggle is, it reminds me of comparing it to Moat, where Moat, his Terry is very much so he plays to the, I'm going to win 3 neutral interactions, and then your stock is going to be gone. But Karlish here, it feels like there's always this trump card going against Ikaru where he wants to get the combo going, and then Bats Within or an air dodge comes out, and all of a sudden Ikaru's back on top of him, and the combo gets completely reversed onto him.
Great tech from Karlish, but I really see what you mean when it comes to how Karlish is just hesitating ever so slightly. Either they will look for follow-ups too early. That up smash was very good to catch an empty hop. They'll look for follow-ups too early or overcommit to trying to set up their own follow-ups. An extra down tilt where they didn't need to, that slowed them down. Or not enough down tilts or jabs, and suddenly you miss the window for your confirm. It's little things like that you cannot let escape your opponent, especially since Terry, as much as Terry has a good neutral compared to the other FGC characters, it's a candle in the wind compared to how much Bayo and Ikaru's Bayo is just running circles around them.
He's at 198 right now, but he is still surviving. And Ikaru, he'll get the grab into the back throw, and that will be the stock. So Karlish now on his last stock, but can he try and find a way to mitigate the damage here? Yes, he can. Ikaru, I think he ran out of jumps. I know there's a sort of tricky property where you can kind of gain an extra jump or something along those lines when you use the up B first. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but either way, Ikaru wasn't able to have it there and ends up not being able to recover, so things back to even. And Karlish able to find a percent lead off of that combo, but again, Ikaru quickly to reverse that situation onto him, and things are back even.
Yeah, percentages are going to be flying one way or the other for many, many sides of this. But I like how Karlish is just deciding, you know what, I'm going to press buttons out of your strings. If you're looking for cheeky extensions, I'm not going to let you do that, thanks to Terry's and if you're going to be whiffing, then be careful for this power geyser, which seems to be Karlish's more preferred confirm as he lands a down tilt but tries to pivot it into the up tilt power geyser, relinquishing a potential Buster Wolf and perhaps even losing the stock off of it. Not quite. Ikaru missing the witch time and perishing for that. Both of these players were just at each other's throats because whenever one of them would drop something, the other immediately looked for the turnaround.
Those quick turnarounds did a lot of work. And here, I feel like Ikaru just got a little too greedy. Like you said, that Bats Within, we saw him try and use that down B offstage once or twice in game number 1, and here, I think, early in game number 2, at least. But there, the up B doesn't snap to ledge, in fact, goes over top, and Karlish was, like you said, quick to punish the overextensions. This was such a clean start to the game for Ikaru, though. The down B to catch Karlish, gets around him with the roll into the forward smash, looked very, very stylish. And that was a kind of a huge point for Ikaru, because then the next stock he gets Karlish up to 127 before losing his first.
It does matter at the end of the day because of Bayo's inherent weakness. Karlish went from 127 to 198, and only at this 200% did they really feel in danger. On a large stage like Kalos, combined with Terry's native weight, the mesh between the two really let Karlish get a lot more time and a lot more ability to find moves like that, catching the landing of Ikaru before they had a chance to refresh their double jump. And without that double jump resource, the double jump resource is what you need to extend into a triple jump. And Ikaru didn't have that, which meant the recovery was severely neutered.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that he caught the jump. That was such a good catch from Karlish. This is the air dodge away that pushed him towards the left side of the stage in the first place. And look how close those heels are to touching the ground.
Yeah, just not enough.
As frames away that Karlish was able to make that catch happen. And that was really the turning point because it gave Karlish the window here. This edge guard, I thought Akara was going to pull the trigger on the forward airs to try and get it done, and just ended up not quite committing all the way through. Karlish was able to survive. And then the punish again off of the overextension seems to be the name of the game, like you said, for both of these players.
I'm surprised we didn't see Ikaro stay on the floor and go for just right up against the ledge and go for the witch time there. The rising tackle of Terry's doesn't always immediately snap to ledge unless spaced rather perfectly, so it will Terry's legs will peak above the ledge and you're able to find counters or just any sort of hitbox that you need. A couple of times we saw Akara going for down smashes, though Karlish did have a rather fantastic tech to avoid death on the first one. But it felt like Ikaru challenged that little poke once, it didn't result in the stock, and he scrapped the idea completely, instead going off stage for their edge guards, even though Karlish was trying to stay right up against the wall to ensure their recovery. And it worked.
So we'll have to see in game number 2 if that remains to be the case. I'm curious to see, for the side of Karlish, in general, it feels like his strength in this matchup is his survivability. The fact that, yes, these combos are happening for Akaro, and he is, like we pointed out earlier, the percents can swing very quickly. But if Karlish can survive, having that go online for long periods of time just makes the comeback potential even greater. And so if you can survive those off-stage interactions, if you can find your way back to stage and give yourself a second chance on that stock, things can quickly turn in this game. And as Small Battlefield is the site here, you're seeing a lot more kind of trades back and forth between the two, and Akaro is the one at 100% right now.
Yeah, I understand this pick a lot, because it feels like Ikaro, as they get clocked by that up smash, it feels like Ikaro is trying to give their Bayonetta a sense of inevitability, remove some of the danger of those very high percentage, and remove some of Karlish's survivability. But Terry on this stage is just so effective, not only at closing out stocks, but the platform play is so devastating, yet in the same time, so it can be for Bayonetta with those long vertical extensions, roofing Karlish in order to make this game stock count go back to even. And will it stay that way? Who can say for sure, especially as Karlish is getting on this ledge and looking for potential closers. Gotta be careful with the ABK though.
The situation once again kind of reversed here on Karlish, but he will be able to roll back the stage. And that forward smash, he caught Akaro landing once again. That's been another huge factor, helped him make that comeback in game number 2. And here he's got the lead because of it. Akaro's on his last stock.
Yeah, what a turnaround this would be. Not only removing one of DePaul's more consistent members with a loss, but also granting your team a potential point lead at the start of this set, which could be so important for a 6-6 team.
Rapid jab that we talked about earlier. Not going to be able to take the stock quite yet. And he will just fade back to stage there. Thought we were going to see the downbeat, but that's a quick back air coming out from Akaro. Quick and swift, taking that stock and making things even here on this last stock.
65. Gotta get this percent lead just much as possible. Missing the nair into dare, though, which is gonna be it's a big one. You lost the stock count. You're gonna have to try and shore up your gameplay up in the center here as Bayonetta weaves their way forward, going directly in and coming with the bats with his own jab. Not gonna close out the stock quite yet, but good play on Karlish's part just to keep themselves grounded and stay exactly where Bats Within would go. 137-8 now. We're looking at a completely different set from where this set, a completely different game from where this set started.
156, and oh my, Ikaru's got to play near perfect here. Really, any touch here from Karlish could mean death, but also the combo game of Bayonetta ever present. Shield pressure here. There's the up B. Quick string to make it 58 on the board. Can't get the punish, and the landing gets caught once again. Karlish with the up smash takes game 3.
This was so cheeky from Carlish. We saw them get aggressive in mid stage after this up B into forward air, the witch twist, and the little bit of a fast fall. Let's see that again, because it was an air dodge. As I wind back here, Carlish came down with a power dunk. So they're looking for any sort of hit that's going to close out the stock, and they fast fell air dodge down into the stage, knowing that Ikaru would try and snipe them in this vicinity. But just forcing that extra fast fall, bypassed where Ikaru extended to, and properly punished Ikaru getting too greedy as a result. Little things like that removes what Bayonetta is so good at, which can potentially be just overwhelming you for almost minutes at a time. Carlish took his licks and provided that much more devastation when they got their openings, and changed up how he would get their openings.
It was so clutch too, the fact that both players kind of recognize, hey, if I throw this move out, I can quickly throw out another move. We talked about in the previous set, because Moat was playing, how little lag that down B on Terry actually has. You can act surprisingly fast out of it.
Oh yeah.
And in that case, it ended up taking the stock. But really, this game was very, very close. This was a clutch moment from Ikaru to get that first stock off the board. After dropping the first one to quickly find a combo, it doesn't always feel like forward air should kill off the top, but with Bayonetta, that is always the case.
Yeah, it's compensation for sins past, I suppose, is the way. They're trying to make her combos harder, but still have similar results. And at the end of the day, they did as a result, as the witch twist into down air. Bayonetta having extra lag depending on the amount of specials that you do, as well as if you hold her neutral or up air in order to get the bullet arts afterward, and it looked like that was what Ikaru was punished for. There's a lot of resource management for Bayonetta in a lot of niche scenarios, but as we see, a try and true plat drop back air as the means to even up the game, so the point differential isn't too bad. A 2-stock on Ikaru's part matched with a pair of 1-stocks and the victory for Carlish means this is only a 2-point game going into the next set, and it's very early.
Yeah, so only a 2-point game, 4-2, the current scoreline of DePaul versus Colorado. Colorado locking in Katsuji as their second player. Katsuji is an interesting player when you look at Colorado. We've seen Sheik, we've seen Luigi in the past. Luigi has certainly been, I think, the more interesting one, simply because of Luigi being that character that we all know and love as the touch of death character, right? Just one grab is all they really need. And Katsuji, they've got the bread and butter down for that combo, and so it is very scary. The Sheik has made some appearances, in particular that fall split, but Katsuji, when he's been tasked with some of the most difficult matchups. He played against Spencer, which is the 7-2 player for the side of Marquette. He played against Yosefu, who is one of the most aggressive players. He's the Belmont player for the side of Mississippi State. Skull Kid, who is one of the big names on this DePaul roster that we saw in the past, and even Darth Wampa, who has taken down some huge names on the side of Hawaii. So when Katsuji goes in, he's 3-6 this season, but those losses are to arguably some of the best players on some of these teams. So curious to see how he does here. DePaul is locked in their player to counter Katsuji, and it looks like it will be Matt Beach. And Matt Beach is, I believe, the Mega Man of this Blue Devils roster, which there are few and far between of here in the EGF. We did see a little bit of Kazuya at one point in time for Matt Beach. Curious to see if he'll make that choice here, knowing who he's going up against. But Matt Beach, 6-2 on the season, and he was 8-3 last season in that prolific run that DePaul had. So we'll have to see how those two players match up against each other.
Yeah, when going into a matchup where you're playing either Luigi or a Sheik, where you have such a wide difference of strengths. Like, yes, they both are combo-oriented characters looking for strings that result in a lot of damage, edge guard potential, or stocks in the case of Luigi more often than not. The difference is Sheik's counterplay is completely different from Luigi's counterplay. Their base stats totally polar opposites. So Mega Man's innate flexibility of being a run and gun kind of character with multiple up close and a far base moves. Oh, Pac-Man, different man, not the Mega, but instead the Pac, and similar kind of ideas. You have that defensive play in order to go into the Luigi, but the solid frame data to counteract potential Sheik play. As we see at the start of this game, it's going to be all about the defense.
Curious to see how Matt Beach does on this Pac-Man. DePaul did have a Pac-Man last season, but it was not Matt Beach. It was I believe ADR was the Pac-Man player. So possibly a little bit of a tribute to ADR coming in here for Matt Beach. Want to see either way. Pac-Man off to a little bit of an early disadvantage, and Katsuji looking to try and find his way in. But the interesting parts about Pac-Man are the way those projectiles interact just between the matchups, and with that hydrant overall, a lot of kind of setup goes into the Pac-Man combos.
Yeah, need to charge the fruit effectively, but what makes Pac-Man so good is the fact that they're able to put out aerials very reliably against the opponent trying to just extend one or two hits. You have to play very disciplined against Pac-Man, and Katsuji is really doing that, relying more on Zair as a spacing tool rather than just a raw combo extender. But the down smash on the whiff up special on that miss will close the first stock for Katsuji, looking to make the Colorado lead that much more. Gotta be careful of those angles of the hydrant. Matt Beach playing this game as they should, not relinquishing what makes Pac-Man so good in a matchup like this, the fact that they can have such a very strong full screen pressure.
Ooh, I actually like that mix-up, the tornado there from Katsuji, just to get more percent on the board. He does end up losing his stock for it, but the kind of empty hop into the tornado just to kind of try and break neutral, saying, hey, he's probably going to do some sort of out of shield option. Either way, Matt Beach, he's doing a great job of responding here. A lot of percent on to that early stock, maybe too many tornadoes, but the ledge trapping, no grab though on that follow-up. Matt Beach escapes.
Escapes and immediately sets up hydrant. You have to be careful about your hydrant plays. The Galaga decides to go in at a steeper angle at the very end, catching Katsuji's jump. This is a very tight game thus far until Katsuji decides to pull the trigger on that forward smash, roll on, and Matt Beach, expecting a defensive option, got met with the hardest punish that Katsuji had.
Yeah, Katsuji finding that forward smash is huge too, because now he's got the stock lead, but how does he make it back to stage? That hydrant connects. The misfire, and it connects too for some healthy percent there onto Matt Beach. Now he's up to 40%, and actually the apple, yeah, that will take the stock. That's a good setup there for Matt Beach.
That's such a good setup. I love that. I love trampoline play on stage when it comes to a Pac-Man play, because it's so hard to deal with. We can go into it on the replay, but we'll get to see if Matt Beach has the ability to take the time and put together a comeback just as well as be able to put together some setups. As the down throw into the down B with good DI won't take the stock quite yet, but Matt Beach needs to find something off of this ledge to get this game started, assuming he can grab the ledge at all.
And Matt Beach is running out of time to mount this comeback. Those down Bs, they'll start to kill any time now. He'll be able to escape for the moment. Oh, Katsuji's on the chase down, though. That down smash nearly landing as well. Matt Beach is trying to chip away for now. The parry onto that hydrant, the dash attack, that will actually seal the stock away. And Matt Beach falls in game number one. Katsuji takes the lead.
What a rise from grace does Luigi dash attack have? It used to be useless, less than useless for Luigi in previous games. And now it's a surprisingly competent burst option that kills when you need it to. Luigi doesn't have any trouble taking stocks at anywhere from 90 to 120. Those are rather consistent, especially with down throw mix-ups. But when you get to those extreme percents, as sometimes you just end up doing, having a dash attack that is able to come out quick, connect reliably, and close out stocks is a pretty solid thing to have.
Yeah, and that was the case that we kind of saw here in this first game. I do like Katsuji, I think, overall, and maybe it comes with the fact that this is part of what Luigi does, is that it felt like he was really starting to get a feel for how Matt Beach wanted to set things up, where Matt Beach wanted to be. And so Katsuji did a really good job of kind of tracking him down and saying, you're going to be right here, and let me cover that with something, as exemplified here by the second stock where he reads the roll.
Yeah, it felt like Matt Beach was almost getting a little bit too lost in his own set play. I mean, this was an amazing setup, as I mentioned. Love trampoline stuff, because the spring on neutral getup creates the inability for players to perform neutral getup shield. That is, the spring will override any action into just a bounce on the spring. So removing such a prominent option that is neutral getup into hold shield and only having one frame to hit that, it's completely gone. On top of the fact that Apple is that same type of tool where it's not the most outlandish kill tool, but it closes out stocks when they need.
And you also have to remember too, those projectiles kind of act different ways depending on the direction that you throw them, right? So he has to remember, the apple. I believe he throws it up in that scenario to have it fall straight back down to him. So to use that apple to cover, any way to get around that trampoline, I'm not even sure there is a clean option that gets you around that trampoline. I think maybe roll. You just have to. You do just have to wait, yeah. Because and waiting on ledge while Pac-Man is a setup character, that's a kind of scary prospect to go up against.
On top of the bouncing hydrant as well. So oftentimes players will try to drop from ledge, then double jump with an aerial to clash with the hydrant and see if they can get around that down air. Great SDI on the down air to completely avoid stage and using Pac-Man's crazy recovery. Immediate counterplay from Matt Beach, and I like that they didn't switch off the Pac-Man. I mean, you mentioned that they had multiple characters in their roster, and you can get very tempted to switch off from one to the other depending on something you see or if a matchup doesn't go exactly how you like. Matt Beach sticking with their guns, and maybe they'll be rewarded for it. You do have to avoid many of the infinite ways that Luigi can close out stocks early in this game and try to take back center stage. Doing a pretty good job of that right now.
Right now, Katsuji is at 66% with control of center stage, but that Nair can reverse the scenario. What a catch by Katsuji! I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that was brilliant, and he gets the roll behind forward smash to take the first stock off of Matt Beach here in game number 2.
Yeah, just barely misspacing the roll read as Matt Beach. I think I know what he wants, and Katsuji gave it to him. That side B. I wonder if he was hunting for misfire or Katsuji was just ended up misinputting a B reverse fireball. Either way, Matt Beach is going to take that one to the bank and see what they can do off ledge.
Trades back and forth here on center stage, but it is Matt Beach that goes up. Oh, what a catch on the down air from Katsuji and the taunt. Yeah, he's feeling it right now. He's starting to really get a read on Matt Beach's recovery. And finally, that Zaire, he's able to follow up off it.
Oh, falling out of the potential Galaga combo. If the second hit of that second Galaga toss hits, it pops up very well into a position for a side B. But when it comes to Pac-Man, the bread and butters are always going to be those bell confirms, as this game has felt like it's gone rather quickly and could end right here.
Got the grab, and yup, the up B, and there it is. Katsuji with the grab combo to ice things in game number 2. And that's a solid 2-0 from Katsuji, and Colorado extend their lead.
Insane how just one team will kind of have a kryptonite, as thank you, production, for just speeding right through that, because it's a combo we've seen infinite times before. Don't need to see it again. Instead, we could have seen that catch. That was a pretty good catch. Not gonna lie.
I'm shocked. I don't know if it was buffered, because I think he air dodged, right?
I think it was a forward air, yeah.
Oh no, it was a forward air, right? He forward airs from ledge, and the timing of it is just perfect. Well, that's some EA Sports magnet hands there from Luigi to catch that key.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, Luigi's not playing the same game. Like, how does he, like, all right, hands, like. I heard Devontae Adams is on free agency, but people may be looking for Luigi Plummer to get on their fantasy rosters.
That's like the reverse Odell catch. Odell is like, he's got his arm back when he's catching that ball against Dallas, but like this is him catching it with his feet and kicking it up to his hands. That's absolutely wild from Katsuji.
10 out of 10. Very impressed.
But I mean, overall, I do think it's interesting that Katsuji, he gets that first stock, and then, right after the spike, that's when Matt Beach got his own combo right. It was almost, like punch for punch. Katsuji, he finds that one combo he needs to take the stock. Right here, here's the spike, the Zair over the ledge. We've seen it a couple times, kind of knock him back, but finally he's able to get the timing of it to get that down air. And then immediately Matt Beach followed back with his own combo. So the second someone had an advantage, they immediately lost it. It ended up being Katsuji who just had more advantage.
Yeah, two things that really stuck out to me about how important that play was. Not only was it a tool that Katsuji was using frequently, but Matt Beach wrote off as a factor, like, hey, I'm allowed to recover through this. I can just go. It's just something that is repeatable, but you end up taking that damage. However, Katsuji extending off of the hydrant for the first time was extremely solid. Secondly, Matt Beach didn't change up their recovery tempo at all in that game, as we see a nice little dash dance. Their on-stage play was extremely good, but once Katsuji was able to find ledge play success, they didn't have to change what worked because Matt Beach only wanted to go to ledge. So as long as Katsuji was able to cover the direct line to ledge, like with that incredibly active Zair, it's active for 52 frames, by the way. That's almost a full second. Then Matt Beach willingly did not change up where that could have gone. It was Galaga into grab. Hey, if you're able to confirm into grab as Luigi, you're feeling pretty good, and it doesn't matter how you do it.
I can't believe, too, you saw even there, Matt Beach, he threw out two moves. I think it was forward air and up air, and neither of them could quite connect. And if either of those do, I mean, who knows who takes that game? But the Galaga goes away, and there is no Luigi combo. So Katsuji making the most of the openings, and again, that kind of plays to the way that he plays the game, right? Luigi and Sheik, you only need the one or two openings, and all of a sudden, your combo just explodes into a kill at times, and Colorado able to take advantage of that. Scoreline now 8-2 between these two as we get ready for set number 3. Looks like Slatty is the player going to be locked in for Colorado. We talked to Slatty, I believe, just last week when they got the victory last week, and Slatty has kind of taken over as kind of the the man in the group running the practices, the team captain of sorts, trying to get Colorado back on track. His Pokemon trainer has been very good. We've also occasionally seen Roy and Ness for some for some specific matchups, but overall Slatty is 6-2 on the season. So we'll have to see who DePaul sends in here. Again, it's rare to see DePaul down, in 2 sets, just overall. Despite it still being early and there are still some heavy hitters left in their roster, a 6-point game is not all that much. But to drop the first 2 for an undefeated team, their backs are kind of against the wall here now.
And it's interesting how sometimes you just have those teams that function as your opponent's, as your kryptonite. I mean, by all means, on paper, this could very well have been a wash for DePaul, having almost double the wins as University of Colorado. But whether it be a combination of play style or matchup spread, Colorado really seems to put DePaul on edge, both in history, and we're seeing it right now with the 2-set lead, 8-2 point score. But 8-2 is far from unrecoverable, and we'll have to see if a player like Slatty can establish that University of Colorado is in a definitive advantage, or if things will start to get a lot more even depending on who DePaul sends in, as it will be Cookie, with an I, for their team.
Yeah, and Cookie is a very solid player for the side of DePaul. Hasn't been as a consistent member of the roster this season, with DePaul kind of adding more depth to their lineup with players like Stigma, Akana, and Floral making more frequent appearances. But when Cookie has been in, he has been money. We've seen Bayonetta in the past, but recently he's been going a lot more Min since that character has come out. 3-0 so far this season. And I've talked about it in the past when we've seen Cookie. He's one of those players that, I mean, Min does control the pace of a matchup pretty well, but Cookie is also very adaptive. If he's not able to control the pace of the game, he does a very good job of finding the opportunity to take his one opening and extend it as far as he can. And then it's back to that neutral game. He always kind of keeps you guessing, which makes him, very hard to get a read on. So have to see how he plays against Slatty. Min versus Pokemon Trainer, or any one of Slatty's variations. Curious to see what that type of character matchup looks like.
It's one that comes in, it comes in waves, because what Min really likes to do is control airspace with things like the Ram tilts angled up, Dragon tilts and smashes to throw out the laser, as well as being able to jump in and out while throwing out these moves that cover a ton of space. That's why stages like Pokemon Stadium are so good for Min, on top of the fact that they can use their surprisingly quick scramble buttons, like a frame 8 up smash, frame 7 dash attack, and a frame 5 jab, to be just enough of a close quarters, in close quarters to push you far enough away to regain the space to use those arms. Pokemon Trainer, without the airspeed to consistently maneuver around, is very much reliant on Squirtle's hurtbox shifting and clever air maneuverability in order to get by that arm placement. But when Trainer gets in, by the combination of switching Pokemon, stalling in air, and multiple of lingering aerials off of the backs of Ivysaur and Charizard, it can be devastating for Min, who if they get put off stage. So it's going to be a battle of wills in center, of will Slatty force their way in enough times to make Cookie sweat, or will Cookie staple their feet to the ground and be immoved by all 3 Pokemon, or Ness or Roy.
Could be interesting to see. The thing that sticks out in my mind too, and I talked about this in the previous Max set, when players have that option to reflect a projectile, and you have those projectile characters, it's ever present. I think between the two players, Cookie has a type of reflector in that up smash, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to pull off because it's an up smash, so it feels different from other reflectors in the game. That being said, it is kind of worth noting, especially because you look at Slatty's characters, a lot of them have at least one projectile they could use. You got Charizard neutral B, you got Squirtle with the Flood, and even Ivysaur side B are all things that they'll have to worry about. Even if he opts for the Nest, that side B can be reflected if Cookie, times the up smash correctly. The other thing I remember now about Cookie's Min in particular, his spacing on the aerials is very well, especially on stages with platforms where he can kind of ride the arm along the platform to, cover the platform just in general. So Town and City, site of game number 1, it is the Pokemon trainer coming through here for Slatty.
Yeah, and immediately Cookie did two things amazingly. Take center stage and position themselves to be in position themselves so that arms are at their most dangerous. Oh, didn't commit to the Dragon Smash. That's very surprising to see Min not go for the stock at that position, but not wanting to take the risk and just play center. I can respect that idea since you're threatening ledge from center stage and almost called out that jump.
There was a point there, I think Slatty's up B of Charizard actually saved him. That armor on it ended up helping him fight through one of the arms, and now Slatty has found his way in, but can't get too much off of it. He avoided the grab, but here's the punish. Finds his own grab. What can he do with this Charizard? The reverse Nair, not going to find its mark, and the mash out from Slatty, massive, and that's going to be the stock. Just pulled the trigger on the side B and ends up losing a stock for it.
Squirtle F-tilt misses, but they get the jab anyway. This will be huge, going for a falling neutral there. Love that, but they didn't close out the stock. You gotta wonder, I think they had a down air as a potential punish, and instead going for the more consistent neutral air, and perhaps losing a stock for it. Never mind, jab blocks. Oh, twice now! Two stocks left off the, two potential ways to close out that first stocks left on the table, and Slatty will really have to shore up their game plan, but the down air getting caught by Ivysaur's up air will keep the damage to a minimum.
That up air, the size of Alaska, and there, the armor of that side B fighting through again. Cookie might use that trick more times than not here to try and get around really the distance that he's got to overcome. Another Flare Blitz used, and he'll opt to go back to Squirtle to get back to stage. And all of these swaps, too, between Pokemon are getting punished. Cookie just doing such a good job of controlling center stage, but now Slatty's found his way in. What can he do with it? Not much is the answer. Cookie getting out of disadvantage so cleanly and sniping the Ivysaur once again.
Just Slatty coming off a little bit late multiple times over as Cookie holds on to center and holds on to this very stable Min game plan. The Ram aerials interrupting, and you can only switch so many times before it not only gets predictable, but it ceases to matter at all. Min's coverage being so effective, and Cookie demonstrating that to a T.
Flare Blitz once again.
Sometimes it works.
Oh my goodness. Forward smash, but that ends up being the stock. Cookie takes it to stock fashion. Game number 1 for another 2 points on the board for the Blue Devils as they cut into that lead, but that looked very, very difficult for Slatty.
Yeah, it's what I was mentioning in the pregame. Air speed is what makes air and ground speed is what gives Min so much of a hassle. She thrives on being able to dominate space, and if your opponent can break through zones with incredible effectiveness at the drop of a hat, then it becomes a whole lot harder for her to set up their game plan. But Cookie acknowledged that despite all 3 Pokemon having so many good, different strengths, all 3 of them have 2 very critical weaknesses. They can get edge trapped rather effectively, and all 3 of them have some are very lacking in the air acceleration department, which is just free reign for Min, assuming you're not down airing straight into Ivysaur up air. which not only is the size of Alaska, but probably has the same population too.
I'm curious to see if Slatty makes a character change, because if air acceleration is one of the problems that Slatty's running into, Roy is something we've seen from him in the past, and this is what I was talking about too with Cookie, the arm distance and the coverage, right? That verticality, because he's using it while he's falling, just it threatens so much space, and sometimes he can use it to hold on and cover a platform at times. It is so threatening, as you see there in that replay, just the tip of that down smash connecting to take the last stock off of Slatty. But the ball is now in Slatty's court. Does he find a way to play this out as the Pokemon trainer, or does he possibly switch up to the Ness or Roy that we've seen in the past? Maybe he's got a fourth character that he likes for this type of matchup. The tried and true is the Pokemon trainer, but as we said, he ran into some difficulties in that first game.
And Pokemon Trainer is one of those characters that can handle any matchup, even if the matchup is on paper a losing one. I mean, I don't believe that this character has any hard like -3s or -2s even. But just because you can say that doesn't mean that other characters aren't on the table. As we see the swap to the Ness, and if you're looking for aerial mix-ups and acceleration, look no further than this floaty kid, and especially on a smaller stage like Smashville, you're able to use this platform to great effectiveness while also bullying, potentially getting in on Min a whole lot easier.
Off to an early, that was a clean conversion by Slatty. He was feeling it there with the drag down on the up air multi-hit. And Slatty playing around this platform very well, but Cookie also able to pressure from the edges of the stage. Just so much distance that this character can cover, but it is Slatty kind of in stage control for the moment. That being said, gets knocked off stage, and both finding, I think, very difficult to really track each other down. That once those arms come out, Slatty's doing a good job of getting around them, but then can't quite get a clean follow-up of his own. That being said, he'll air dodge right into the other arm, and Cookie takes the first stop.
I like Slatty trying to calm themselves down a little bit. Take this a little bit slower as the stock was dropped, but Cookie is just playing so unbelievably well because it's not reliant on a quote-unquote one-trick effect. Min has a lot of overwhelmingly good individual tools, but if you're able to find ways to properly poke with down tilts and jump around while throwing around these arms, then you're able to play the character more traditionally in a Smash sense than rather just trying to play arms. And it becomes a lot more threatening.
Good roll. What am I saying? Spot dodge by Slatty to get around those arms. But you're seeing Slatty really struggle to take the stock off of Cookie here. A lot of good ideas, but just a little maybe slow on the execution. Those yo-yos to cover the ledge are just a little bit too late, and it allows Cookie to get back. And he has the stage control there and has that arm to take the second stock off the board of Slatty. So this is a tough spot for Slatty to beat. He has to try and find a way back, and he will with the PK Rocket.
The one time that Cookie doesn't go for down in an attempt to bully their way back to stage, and Slatty punishes them for it incredibly hard. But as stylish as that kill was with the PK Rocket, you're going to need a little bit more than that in order to close out this game, as Cookie just is weaving between full screen and half screen pressure so well, and it's changing up Slatty's timings so unbelievably effectively as, the miss angle on the PK Rocket does close out a 2-stock for Cookie, which nets a massive amount of points. That's a double 2-stock even for DePaul University, immediately turning this game from an 8-2 position to 8-8 after the third round.
A tie game through 3 sets, and DePaul down in the round count 2-1. That's how big of a victory this was for Cookie. And I went back on something that the the first time we saw Cookie, I said he's one of those players that's kind of momentum based. When he gets going, he's very hard to slow down. And then that very set that he played, he was very adaptive. This case, I called him adaptive, and he ran away with this game, just snowballed his lead, and he was very hard to stop. Stop.
Now, Min Min is such a funny character, and funny and frustrating in all the weird ways, because what Cookie ended up doing and was so good with, as we see the Dragon Smash come out. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm chuckling at this. I'm chuckling at exactly this because I'm a child. Oh wait, it's there. There it is.
Eyes. And it's just the top of his head that hits it too. I mean, if he's not wearing the hat and gets a haircut, he may not get hit by this.
Oh Lordy! Beyond that, the glowing eyes of the dragon obliterating Ness. The great thing that I watched Cookie play, and hopefully we'll get one of these replays that do it, maybe the last one, is that Cookie was able to scramble their spacings so unbelievably well. Like, falling nairs took them back. Yeah, we won't get a good one here. I believe the Cookie taking Slatty's first stock might be the best example of it. Yes, look at this play. They're moving in with these arms after retreating almost to full stage length, or at the very least full screen length. So it's a combination of Slatty being stuck in the corner, scared to jump thanks to multiple arms coming out at bizarre timings. Cookie taking a lot of space before moving in changes up how fast the arms are on him. On top of little pokes like this, where I believe Cookie decides to go for a dashes full screen, goes for it again, and mixes up this dash attack, which is so unbelievably brutal. It is so... If you're able to mix up just how a character is quote-unquote traditionally played versus how they are being played, you're changing up just how the internal game plan in an opponent's head without even doing anything deviant. It's insane. It was really, really good. To not use the word insane again. It was extremely solid on Cookie's part. Just their stage awareness and stage dominance.
And the other part of that too is that when you are covering that much space, you look at Slatty and what can he do necessarily? You think, okay, the only space he's not covering is, above, where you can possibly, fall down and land on top of Min Min, which is a scary prospect when, all of those projectiles that are his arms basically are coming at you. And especially the dragon arm that has that laser can be angled up to cover a jump. So Slatty really, it was almost like a diagnosis of, like, you look at the checklist of where could Slatty go, and Cookie just said, okay, he's not going to jump, he's not going to dash forward, just keep going down the line until he would, find the dash attack to cover that last bit of space, which was just really clean from Cookie.
Yeah, if there was anything that DePaul needed, it was a performance of a lifetime from Cookie, and they delivered potentially against the heart and soul of the Colorado team. You mentioned Slatty not only was a proficient player having a solid win-loss ratio, but also was the player that organized practices, was the player that drove and drummed up a lot of energy for this Colorado team who's looking for a late season run. And if DePaul throwing out a player that double two-stop that player, we could see DePaul not only getting a surge of momentum from that, but also tearing the heart right out of this Colorado team, looking to make a very crazy upset.
As we get ready for set number 4, the players have been locked in and we're getting that lobby ready. It is going to be, Ikana versus Endure. Ikana is one of the new players for DePaul, new as of this season, but he's been seeing a lot of starting time, 11-1, and almost exclusively gone Young Link for the side of DePaul. On the flip side, Endure, formerly known under the tag of AIV, is the Ike, who's kind of the old captain of Colorado, and he has been tasked with a lot of difficult matchups as well. He was often the guy going in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th spot for Colorado, and his Ike has been very, very good in the past, 7-3 so far this season. So this is a very interesting matchup, not one we typically see here at the EGF, and two of the heaviest hitting names for both of these rosters going head to head.
Yeah, and it's two characters that had a lot of prominence in the early game meta, but have since fallen off a little bit. Young Link still and Ike still have their representatives, of course, but after previous majors, especially the glitch that happened a couple weeks ago, I believe 2 weeks ago, it was a real bad showing for a lot of Young Link players, not getting a lot of good wins and falling to some of the FGC and Steve players that really dominated the bracket. There hasn't been a really prominent Ikeman in a good long time that has made a run in an offline or online scenario. Raven King was probably the most recent one. So both of these two are kind of flying with some characters that are a little bit under the radar at the moment, going head to head as Endure takes an early start, but Ikana is making their way back into it.
And what I'm noticing right off the bat here, as Endure finds the back air there to seal away that first stock, is that's going to be one of the keys to this matchup. Endure, this character just has such a weight to them. All of their hits are just so meaty. They all do so much percent. And Ikana's a very light character, right? Young Link can, die very early. And with such kind of straightforward combos that Ike has, it feels like Endure kind of has control of the pace of this matchup. But when those projectiles start to come out, when Ikana starts to weave their way in and get those follow-ups, they can easily answer right back, as Ikana does there, to even stock count.
Yeah, confirms and conversions are what brought Young Link into the public eye. The ability to get something off of just anything. So your one-hit combos are never, or your one-hits are never going to just be a one-hit. Ike's claim to fame has always been that neutral air. Yet I love how Endure has been playing this as a very much reserved button player. Everybody knows that Ike has a lot of strong individual tools that are able to build off of one another so effectively. So by willingly not using, or at least not spamming what makes the character so strong, inlines this level of threat that Ikana just has to deal with for so long in this match. We'll have to see who is able to hit their more prominent tools first. Right now, Ikana, with some of these arrow strings, are going to get its small advantage. It's a little bit of scramble in the center stage.
Both are at relatively kill percentage. You'll note one of the things about Ikana is that follow-up right there. Ikana is so clean at getting those setups onto that platform, and then rather than going for the up air, they land the down air almost every single time. And here you're seeing, when Ike's in disadvantage, Ikana's done a very good job of fighting through this. That's a good fade back to ledge, though, for Endure to give himself a second chance, but he's still got to find a way back to stage there. Not going to do it quite yet. Down air won't connect either, and Ikana continues to survive. Endure is already at above 100%, and what was an even game is slowly starting to slip away from him here.
Yeah, starting to try and just swing for the fences and look for a way to catch Ikana as they move back and forth, using the center stage and the lingering between the two platforms so effectively. Yeah, sometimes what you can do is retreat out of range, but Ikana using that as a means to take stage and cover with lingering hitboxes, and it was all over the place. 3 for 3 with down airs. 2 off of conversions and 1 off of a hard read, expecting Endure to try and approach, as Ikana closes out with a 2 stock of their own, 3 consecutive 2-stocks before DePaul University as they look to extend this lead and cement their victory in the latter half of this set.
Endure just kind of gets caught, searching for a way to take this stock forward tilt into, no man's land as Akana's above him. And then the back air is a decent idea, but he's still, above him. And, no kind of aerial option was thrown out that would catch Akana, and Akana's down air lands to seal that game away. But this was very even off the start. I think I talked about this in another set as well. The fact that Younglink has those projectiles, Swordies, I think, traditionally have struggled with projectiles. And the fact that Younglink can, quickly follow up off of all of those projectiles just makes this matchup a lot harder for Endure.
Yeah, moving in between some of these arrows and bombs. Arrows, bombs, and especially arrows are... Did I say arrows twice? Boomerang bombs and especially arrows is... It's a lot to deal with for a character that does have decent airspeed, but Ike isn't exactly a small target. As I like this level of awareness from Ikana, where they lost their first stock by eating a back air on the Pokemon Stadium 2 platform, expecting perhaps an up air, jumped a little bit too late, or stayed on the ground and dropped shield, maybe expecting a parry. But in the final stock situation, or when Endure was on their last stock, they realized that Endure prefers to go for back air or forward air as horizontal pressure on platform and reserve up airs for combo finishers, perhaps not to keep them stale, for whatever the reason it may be. And, Ikana looked for the back air and punished accordingly, knowing that an up air wasn't going to come out.
Yeah, such a smart play too, because even if that up air lands, yes, Akana's at a high percent, and yes, they are light, but if they're DIing correctly, there's a chance they survive. That PS2 ceiling is surprisingly high. So, like you said, very well recognized by Akana in that scenario, and because of that, they got the 2-stock victory in game number 1. Small battlefield, the site of game number 2, and I do like this for Endure. I think this is where he really prefers to play, because a smaller stage forces those interactions, and Ike's sword, it's got the range advantage here over Younglink.
Yeah, you're playing with a bit of a double-edged sword, as if you can get in Ike's range, he could have an advantage, but all of these items are going to cover more of the stage and make it that much harder for Endure to land, especially if Ikana is going to keep undershooting so effectively, expecting some jump-ins or full hops from Endure. As the percents are currently doubled, as Ikana just running straight in and looking for a little bit of a change-up. It didn't net him any prolonged advantage, but I like the seed of doubt that's planted in Endure's head. He can't just wait outside of Ikana's unreactable range. He does have to keep an eye on that bond child.
That up B ill-advised, and yeah, that was a good dash attack by Endure. But now, how does Akana find a way back to stage? Stuck on this platform, that up air, not going to take the stock quite yet. Endure able to work their way, Akana able to work their way back towards center stage. There's that up B that connects. That should be an up air, but it won't take the stock quite yet. I like the idea, but again, percent's just not quite there yet.
Looking for an extension off that platform, but a great tech into a runoff back air for Endure. We need to see how well they can play with a lead. Great read on the spot dodges. This will be solid damage. That's a difficult situation, but the fast volley from Ikana turns a bad situation into an amazing one, evening up the game, and only now 47%. You're not feeling too bad about this.
Rapid jab coming through there for Ikana, saying, get off me, and a quick 8% onto Endure's second stock. But we're starting to see more and more of this up B for Ikana, and I think part of it is if it catches, it's an easy kind of follow-up. But I feel like they're pulling the trigger rather early on these up Bs.
Yeah, they've been a lot more willing to whiff in a game like this. In this game too, which is interesting, but also not getting all that dangerously punished. It's a benefit of being Young Link. You're able to throw out a ton of moves with a whole quantity's worth that Endure just has to deal with. But at the end of the day, if you're unable to close out the stock reliably, then and Endure plays their cards right, using these shields and parries to great effectiveness, then some of the quantity can really be just forgotten about. Yeah, a strong hit boomerang into down air. That's 4 stocks now taken with down air. 5 stocks even. 5 stocks with down air.
5 stocks, and all of them just so clean on their conversions. That was a scary situation for Akana, but they'll be able to get out of it for the moment. And again, 97%, 2 stocks on the board still for Akana, but it is a very close game between these two. But that being said, Akana's starting to find a little bit of extra credit here on this last stock, and all that percent could really mean a lot when every stock matters in a format like this. That Nair nearly found a way to kill. That'll start to kill relatively soon in that percentage. It will certainly start to lead to some more combos as Akana up to 134, and yeah, that was one too many up airs being landed, and Endure evens things back up.
Yeah, hounding pressure with some of these up airs. Sometimes suffocating the zoner really is the way to go. You don't always need a plan for every single item if you don't give them a chance to throw the item out at all. It's double Nair, missing the forward air follow-up. But this is a great spot for Endure if they play this correctly, forcing Akana into some routinely dangerous spots, as there's not much room for them to retreat to.
Very patient gameplay from both of them, as you're seeing. Look at the time. We're down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and now good follow-up there from Endure. Akana at 89%. Remember, Young Link is relatively light, but Akana's done a good job of surviving at these high percents until there. The last second of that Nair connects into the up air, and Endure snipes game 2.
Late hit Nair is so powerful for Nair in general, but in those high percents, in those kill windows, late hit Nair is Ike's best friend, which is why it's so dangerous when Ike jumps at you facing backwards, whether or not they space out a back air or a Nair, and those timings being totally different, as we see the jump away attempt from Akana, but not far enough compared to the reach that Ike's sword has. I like that Endure, in the end of that game too, decided for a back-to-basics approach. Sometimes you just need to use your character's best tools, even if Akana seems very prepared for it. Ike's Nair is a house. Ike's up air is insane. It's basically the up smash arc just in the air. It's so very potent that moving away from it can be great in these mind game scenarios, but sometimes you just need to do your character's good stuff.
Yeah, and it paid off there. I do like how, I mean, we saw a little bit of this in game number 1, and I pointed it out towards the end of the game, but that third stock, once Endure loses this stock off of the boomerang, you're thinking, okay, Akana's only at 73, and he's already got some extra damage onto Endure's last stock. This feels like it should be Akana's game, but Endure played smart, played patiently, and was able to find those few windows of opportunity to ice this game away. That being said, we're getting ready for game number 3 here. What would you change if you're Akana, knowing that you had control of this one and it slipped away?
It's a tantalizing question, because you played the matchup how you would think Young Link wants to be strong in, finding multiple strong positions where you're able to apply mid-screen, like mid to full range pressure, and approach with that and even confirm off of it. We mentioned 5 stocks with down air doesn't just kind of happen. I mean, 1 stock it did, but every other one was a combo off of a boomerang or arrow or both. The trick will be how prepared are you to deal with Ike and Endure being a little bit more on the play, being a little bit more forward with their good stuff, not respecting some of the youngling's range as hard as he's able to throw out large disjointed buttons to swat away multiple of these projectiles. We're going back to small battlefields, so he obviously did not dislike this smaller stage and the sense of control he could exert, but how much control can you keep? Oh, let's do out of dodge. Very nice.
Interesting start here to game number 3, as like you said, small battlefield, the site of game number 2, and it will be the site of the final match between these two. But look at that, the projectiles connect, and Endure is up to 90, and he's forced to the ledge here. Nair connects, good back air, dash attack. I like the idea to follow up there, but it won't land. That's going to be an up air, but it won't do it quite yet. A lot of percent being racked on. The down air, there it was, but that time Endure gets the tech, and he's able to roll away.
An important tech, as that down air would have finished it, and now Young Link won't have any easy confirms unless they find a way to reset that same type of platform pressure, as Endure is looking for these nairs, looking for what was successful in the previous game, yet Ikana approaching with shield a lot more, which has been it's been very, very strong.
Endure at 169 right now. That forward throw will do it. Great coverage there. The boomerang covering the jumps, rolls in and gets the grab, and that will take the first stock off of Endure. Ikana only at 40 until that string right there to get him up to 73. Endure looking to find a way to respond. Finds another nair, and just the tip of the up air connects, and Endure off of the taunt. You're seeing he's starting to feel himself a little bit as things back to even.
Pushing advantage. You have to do it against Young Link, or else the character will dominate you in neutral. As shout out to Young Link's jab 2 being utterly insane. It's surprisingly non-committal. So, either way, it's Ikana looking to maintain that space, bouncing boomerangs off the floor and into the air, shooting multiple arrows. Where there's 1, there's 3. So very, very well played thus far. Having restraint with his items, but always having enough to make Endure respect them.
Kind of playing very well around the follow-ups. There's the down tilt into the forward air, and that is going to be the stock, and Ikana has yet to be touched until those two dash attacks on that second stock. I like the idea to go for that down air, but maybe a little bit greedy. Now the situation is reversed on him. Ikana is the one doing the edge guarding, but that side B does get Endure back to stage, but it is still nearly a full stock difference, and the combos continue to land here for Ikana. It was a quick snap to ledge off of the Zaire, and the damage continuing to rack up here makes this comeback more and more difficult for Endure. The stage control still in Ikana's favor, but the raw kill power of Endure starting to come online at 75%. This is danger territory for Ikana.
As much as these nairs are, they're good. They're working half the time. They're doing enough for Endure to keep position and to keep threat in this game. As nair into up air or back air is so devastating. So then another down air comes in for Ikana. But I'm surprised at how little we're seeing Ike trying to Endure space out forward airs and trying to pressure Ikana at full range when they do throw up shield. At 139, you're going to need that devastating angle, that forward and back air supply, in order to force a very tough recovery from Ikana. Edge guards is the win condition right now for Endure as they wait by the side of the stage.
Endure is able to make it back, but at 147, what can he get done? So much pressure on shield. The down tilt into the up air doesn't quite take it yet. Endure is surviving, but at 173, it feels like he's working on borrowed time, on house money, however you want to put it. Ikana has yet to be touched on his last stock, but there's the nair. Can't quite get a follow-up. And you have to wonder, too, does Endure pull the trigger on something risky just to try and get an opening, something like an up B out of shield or a counter we haven't really seen from him? Like you said, the forward airs would be good. That was a good side B to get back to stage. A little bit more chip damage, though, coming through for Ikana. There's the nair into the back air. Has to avoid the zone bomb on the platform. Could have been dangerous. Followed up there by the up air. Ikana's at 53. They get 67 off that forward air. Still around the ledge, shielding that next forward air. Endure playing patient. Finds another nair. Danger territory for both of them now. This is a lot of rage on Ike and a lot of raw kill power in this kit. Nair into the up air. And snipes the game, he stole it away, and Endure gets the win in set number 4.
That was so unbelievably well played for such a long period of time. This wasn't a crazy reversal. We didn't see Nair into upbeat as a potential like suicide stock, as a grand finisher, like a last ace up their sleeve, all the idioms that you want to use. This was just good, safe play while providing pressure with a solid disjoint, crossing up shield, being at a safe range, and threatening Ikana in such a way that boomerangs and arrows and bombs were never pulled out in the final stock. What made setups like this so devastating, as the replay moved on, but either way, what made some of these setups and some of the positions that Ikana found them in so devastatingly strong was the fact there was always an item backing them up. In the final stock, there wasn't. Like, look at this play. The boomerang is out, and they walk forward. They walk forward while the boomerang is around here. So as we move in, this trajectory is what Endure is looking at, on top of having to focus on Young Link bouncing back and forth with a simple dash dance. So all of this positioning screams for Endure, I have to put up shield, or I'll take the grab, or I have to avoid the boomerang conversion. That's the red flags of Young Link, item conversions. So it was extremely good on Ikana's part to go for a simple grab.
And on that last stock too, there were, on occasion when he's trying to deal with all those projectiles, he was able to find one or two ways to weave through, but also you had to play so perfect that at that high of a percent, even a grab could have been the game. And there were numerous times when they're right next to each other, both shielding, and you had to wonder, well, who's going to pull the trigger first? Who's going to go for something risky? And neither of them did, and Endure, because of that, was able to find ways to fight back. He starts this stock at 139?
Yeah, 139, and ends the game at 180. And I hate to use such a beat to death saying, but Ikana at the end of the game played to not lose. Played to, I just need one stray hit, a dash attack, an up tilt, and forward tilt. Like, they don't need to play that risky. They can just keep it close to the chest and find a stray hit. But the power of disjoints and the power of having good enough airspeed to keep ambiguous enough put Endure in a position where they endured all of the arrows and they endured all of the harassment from Young Link and from Ikana, playing that set very, very well, and found their win condition.
Great stuff to both of those players, but it was Endure taking the stock there at the end. A great comeback for him. That gives Colorado the lead 12-10, but with only a 2-point lead, it is anyone's game going into the final set. Any scenario is open to, it's open to be the finale here, because, well, the minimum amount of points you can earn is 4, and the maximum is 8, and with it only being a 2-point game, it all rides on this final set. There is a scenario here that says there could be an overtime, but you'd have to have some funky point spreads happen, and the way these two have been playing, how close all of these matches have been, I doubt that to be the case. We'll have to see who these teams send in as their final players, and it looks like those players have been locked in. For the side of Colorado, it is Zerosion. Zerosion has been playing exclusively Samus and is new to the roster in the EGF as of this season. He is 1-6, but when we talked to Colorado in the past about, we asked them who do they think is one of the toughest players to go against on their team, who do they think is the air quotes hidden boss, as we used in their interview. They said it was Zerosion. They said it was this Samus. So they're putting all their stock in the youth of their group. We'll have to see how they do. It is Floral being locked in for DePaul in this 5th slot. Floral, the Roy player for this group, new to this roster as well as of this split. 4-2 in his 6 appearances. And so possibly a Samus versus Roy to cap off the closest match of the day so far.
Yeah, and not an unfamiliar matchup, especially as of late. Roy is, if not the most popular, but the second most popular, second or third most popular character in the current metagame. Players don't want to feign to characters like Samus or like Ness or Rob, these other characters that can have exploitable weaknesses but extremely high strengths. They want a character that can run you down and can bully you, and if you don't have the capacity to play against that playstyle to not get overwhelmed and counterpunch, then Roy can quite literally run all over you. Samus, on the other hand, is a character that has been on the up and up as of late, especially since the quarantine era and after a stellar performance by 4 different Samus mains in Let's Make Big Moves. There's lots of good stuff about this character looking extremely strong in the current metagame for a bevy of reasons. Battlefield is an extremely strong start for both sides. We'll just get to see who's able to move the fastest, as these two are playing like a button check, but with a whole lot more pizzazz.
Yeah, this is we are getting word that it is a button check, and we were getting ready because, I mean, there's a lot riding on this game, as we talked about. There's a lot of history between these two schools in particular. DePaul, they are, one of the giants of the EGF. They were one of the top 3 teams last year. They were in grand finals. They were the independent conference champions, and they are undefeated so far this season. And with it all riding on Floral here, that undefeated marker is on him. And for Colorado, at 6-6, with only 3 weeks left, these games are going to be very important for their playoff race. There's a lot of teams that are hanging around that 7-8 win mark that are holding on to those playoff spots. If Colorado falls here to 6-7, it's going to be very hard to sneak their way back in, and to put it all on the backs of a young player like Zerosion, who, well, at 1-6 has had a rough go of it this split. It really shows how both of these rosters, they're trusting the depth of their lineup. They're trusting the youth of this team to get it done. They believe these players can get it done. So this is it. Start of game number 1 here, and as we mentioned, Battlefield, the site of it.
Yeah, it's a great stage for multiple reasons for both characters. I mean, Samus being awkward to combo and awkward to extend with because of being both heavy and floaty at the same time. Yet Roy dominates space, not necessarily with range, though that disjoint is helpful, but by blazing speed and being able to approach than many characters in this game. And Floral is looking like they're very easily getting into Zerosion's face and making the most out of it with a solid lead to start off the day. Yet Zerosion mixing up their aggression a little bit, using a lot less time to do exactly that. A lot less of a focus on charging their full blast, the full beam, but instead of focusing more on sniping out jumps with that forward air and trying to take up as much space with lingering within that space. Yet Roy is just such a house when it comes to breaking through zones, because you may set up a game plan, but Roy can so easily break through that game plan so unbelievably well.
We're starting to see that a lot here. That's a good follow-up on the dash attack, but it won't take the stock quite yet. Floral makes it quickly back to stage. I like the idea here from Zerosion, just continue to work away at this percentage, using that down B to force Floral to use that up B back to ledge again and kind of reset the scenario, but you got to find a way to take this stock, and right now Floral not making it very easy. He's at 164, reads that forward air from ledge, and that's a ledge regrab leading to the down tilt, just able to clip Roy and will be able to clip the ledge, and that up air will do it. So Zerosion takes stock number 1 off the board. He's at 86. What can you do about it?
Charge shot into 32, into 47, thanks to the super missile as the footstool gets it. Floral out of danger. What could have been a very, very promising sequence for Zerosion, yet the damage is evened up very effectively. Excuse me. Putting both players in in a very strong position. As Samus on ledge she's not in disadvantage when on ledge. I will tell you that much.
Percents have gone back to even here. These mines are going to do a lot of work. Floral's got to be very careful. Good get up attack. That is an air. That's not going to land, but the back air will. And Zerosion survives. Stalling out here, and he will be able to snap back to ledge. Makes it back. Early up B. Punish not quite there, and the back air lands, and Zerosion has the lead here, but he is at 130. He's got to play very careful around this ledge once again. That's a ledge regrab, but Floral can't capitalize. Now he does off of the forward tilt, and things are dead even here in game number 1.
Going for the third up air instead of switching into the charge shot. Oh, that down throw into the back air thanks to the platform. And Zerosion is really taking command into this game, getting the parry into the screw attack as well. Just all it takes sometimes is a little bit of a change-up, as much as Floral has shown an adept at approaching in a variety of ways. Zerosion finding ways to cover just about all of them. 30%, this ledge trap will mean a lot as they get cooked by Samus forward air.
What a huge turnaround from Zerosion. Floral really could have made a lot out of that one, but the fade back doesn't get him to ledge, and Zerosion, the down smash, clips him, and Zerosion takes game number 1.
Samus down smash has gone through its own arc across multiple Smash games, being very, very good in Melee and not good in every other game. But they've really brought it back into a position where it covers such an important tool in Samus's kit, hitting both sides, and being quick enough, much quicker than many other of the smash attacks in her kit, as well as covering a generally wide sweeping range. It hits a very important spot that Samus needs in that side coverage. And Zerosion showing off just how powerful it can be.
And it's also worth noting, too, that Zerosion, he did have that SD on the first stock, and afterwards he was able to battle back here. And this is very much so a game, I think you're seeing both of these players, we touched on it a little bit, where once that one opening happens, it's very easy for both of these players to collapse on each other and just go all in for some sort of combo. I feel like Floral, the conversions just weren't as clean as you saw there. The early up B from Zerosion, not quite cleanly punished, and Zerosion was able to get his own stock off of it. We saw even some parries later on in that set. Floral parried the first hit in air, but then got hit by the second hit, and it ended up putting him in disadvantage. So that's something that I'm looking for possibly as a cleanup in game number 2. If you're Floral, what are you looking for here in game number 2?
You're looking for perhaps two things. One is better ways to punish the out-of-shield options from Zerosion. Battlefield offers a lot of depth for Samus when it comes to out-of-shield play, not only because the tripod layout can be hard to break through characters that have solid lingering aerials, but also the screw attack, not only is it a frame for startup, but you will have basically none of the landing lag or the lingering in midair, helpless, because Samus will go immediately to top platform. For a stage switch up. We'll probably see something like a town and city if available, though it seems like Colorado University has banned Town, Smashville, and Lilac. So small battlefield could be the next best thing, and here we go.
Like you said, small battlefield, the stage to go to here, so we'll see what Floral can do here. Remember, if Zerosian wins this game, Colorado walk away with a victory here. If not, then we go to game number 3. So for Floral, he is at a little bit of a percent lead here, and Zerosian trying to play around these platforms. Those mines are also going to get interrupted a lot by those platforms, but he's still making decent use of them as the percents are back to even here.
These jump-ins are getting sniped out by Zerosian, forcing jump with just a little bit of pressure from mini charge shot, barely missing the grab and missing the punish because of it. So unfortunate to whiff what could have been a very huge ledge situation at high percents. This could be it though, no committing to the bomb ledge trap instead.
I'm curious I'm curious to see, remember we saw Katsuji earlier go for the spike after landing a couple of ledge traps, and I'm curious if Zerosian maybe is thinking about the same thing. It's a little bit harder of a setup for Samus, but it is worth noting. Now, Floral's at 155. That's how much damage he's taken from all of that ledge trapping. And the grab, that will do it. The up throw, not one we see all that often, but it gets the job done. And Floral is down the first stock.
The air dodge read, but not far enough to get a potential regrab or a dash attack. So just going for safe commitment with the missile, and hey, you're never mad at 57% now. Zerosian playing so unbelievably safe with what they commit to. That dash grab was a commitment from center stage, but it's hard to lose your stock from just Roy going for consistent forward airs. That down tilt also not setting anything up. Zerosian may be finding they are clipped by stray hits and a sweet spot every now and again, but it's not leading to a stock potential scenario. You're not getting hit by a jab into back air. If you're forcing Roy to take stocks with up B at 150, you're doing your job well.
Floral, like you said, taking that stock with the up B, but it has not been a very kind of clean game for Floral. He's forced to be, kind of scrappy and try and, just take one or two hits. I like the idea actually there to dip kind of low and force Zerosian to recover early, but ends up eating a little bit of percent for it. Dodges the grab. That side B, that's going to be very dangerous very soon as Zerosian's at 82. And the last second he pulls off the back air and Floral's on his last stock.
Well, that was a regrab, but it wouldn't look like Floral was ready to punish it. There was so much mix and no punish coming out from Floral. They're getting Zerosian to whiff, whether it be with grabs or with potential aerials, but they're not getting the reward off of it, and Zerosian is keeping a cool head, seeing that Floral likes to move, and is letting them.
Ooh, this is a lot of damage on the floor right now. 88, now he's caught up high, is able to land, falling up air, but he won't get any follow-up off of it. Zerosian's at 122, but this is a good turnaround. The spike won't be followed up. That up B, not going to kill him off the top quite yet. Zerosian's at 145, and along the ledge. Gets back to it. And a couple of whiffs both ways, falling up air once again by Floral, and that one will take the stock. So last stock scenario here, but Floral's at 123, and now he's off stage once again. Able to grab the ledge, no follow-up on the dash attack. How does Floral make it back? Gets caught by the forward air of Zerosian, and the snipe of the charge shot will do it, and Colorado hand DePaul their first loss in Season 3.
Is how you draw it up. If you're a Samus player, this is what you live and breathe. Prolonged ledge trap. Catching the jump, seeing the air dodge in the corner. Let me get a look at that. Go back a couple frames. We see that right there. This air dodge sealed the fate of Floral because there was no option to get past the incoming charge shot. That that closed out for the set for Zerosian. No, they could. Did they have their jump? I don't believe they had their jump. They used their air dodge early. The only thing they could have done is up B high, and that's just waiting for a reaction punish that Zerosian was doing throughout the entirety of the set. See a whiff, go for something high, go for a high percentage punish, and take it from there.
It was very back and forth. And like you said, just both whiffed on a couple of chances, but it was Zerosian who just found the cleaner conversions. And, for Floral, there were opportunities, but it felt like they were few and far between. It felt like Floral really struggled to track down Zerosian. And Roy has a combo game, but he was only forced to, 1 or 2 hits of that combo game. And right there, I think that was a massive turning point. The fact that Zerosian got that back air off in time and forced Floral to his last stock, that was a huge moment that could have that pivoted the game.
Absolutely agree. And it comes with Floral, honestly, just getting a little bit too fancy for their own good. The movement was there. The mixing up between fast falls and approaches and jumping back and forth, trying to change up how they approached Zerosian. All of that ideas and all of that mentality was there in spades, but just frames off of potential punishes, not taking the openings when they were there, instead already committing to retreats and committing to this ambiguous neutral without actually hunting for the reward. It's unfortunate to see Floral play such good footsies, but then miss out on the actual point of doing the footsies.
It was kind of a strange, like you said, it was a strange type of scenario. They would do the footsies, but couldn't really get anything off of it, and Zerosian was able to capitalize. So DePaul, they fall to 12-1. Oh, no. Their next opponent is Marquette, but DePaul, they are still kind of in contention for one of those top seeds in the EGF. We'll see them when they play Marquette next week. Colorado, they advanced to 7-6 on the season. Their next opponent is Hawaii, who they also have kind of a storied rivalry with, so another big game for them, and we congratulate them on their victory. Unfortunately, we won't get the chance to hear from one of their players due to time constraints. We will have to get ready for our next game. So we will be taking a short break, but congratulations to both of these schools, and congrats to Colorado on getting that win. And we will be right back. Don't touch that dial now. We're just getting started.